Welcome to the program. It is stunning how the news is just nonstop. The last 48 hours, just breaking story after breaking story. And at the top of the list, at least among other stories, is this revelation from acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe that the FBI investigation into Trump-Russia collusion is going to continue, and that the FBI will not be keeping the White House informed as to the progress of that, which, if you're Donald Trump and you made this haphazard move to fire FBI Director James Comey last week, apparently, by any reasonable analysis, to attempt to interrupt the Trump-Russia investigation, you've got to be losing your you-know-what in the Oval Office, and we'll get to that a little bit. James Comey, of course, fired FBI director, fired last week by President Donald Trump. The reason that was given, the mishandling of the Hillary Clinton email investigation, completely unbelievable. I don't know anybody other than the most extreme committed ideologues or Trumpists that believe that explanation. Comey replaced by Andrew McCabe as acting head of the FBI. Comey was going to testify last Thursday. That didn't happen because of the firing. So we immediately asked the question, what does this firing do to the progress or to the path forward of the FBI's Trump-Russia investigation? Because clearly it immediately had the impact of changing James Comey's status as the FBI director who's about to testify to the former FBI director who is no longer going to testify. We did learn that James Comey may still testify as a private citizen. He's been asked to testify, and we'll see if that ultimately happens. But a major question was, what happens to the investigation? And the answer is, according to the head of the FBI, the acting head of the FBI, Andrew McCabe, the agency will continue to investigate alleged links between Russia and Donald Trump's campaign, but they will not routinely update the White House about the progress of that investigation. And to that, my reaction is, number one, great. And number two, why was the FBI regularly updating the White House about the progress of that investigation when the White House was the entity being investigated? So that's a major concern, and that's not being discussed nearly as much as I expected. It's been 72 hours since this news broke at this point. And the obvious question to me is, why would you update the investigation? Why would you update the White House about this investigation? This is one of the criticisms that was made of Devin Nunes, the Republican congressman who was running the House House investigation into Trump-Russia. Why was he criticized for running to the White House to talk about what they had, but nobody is saying, hey, wait, Andrew, you're saying you're no longer going to update the White House about the investigation. Why were you ever updating the White House about the investigation? So in any case, Andrew McCabe saying that the firing of James Comey is not going to impact the investigation at all. And one of the more interesting things from Andrew McCabe's testimony was to defend the firing of James Comey. The White House said that the 56-year-old FBI director had lost the confidence of the majority of the sort of rank and file members of the FBI. Andrew McCabe said, yeah, no, that completely rejected that notion, saying the FBI rank and file liked James Comey and had the full confidence. They had full confidence in James Comey. So that talking point absolutely destroyed. We had another talking point within hours of President Trump's firing of James Comey last week. We had White House Deputy Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders say that James Comey had committed, quote, atrocities during the investigation into Trump-Russia. That's absolutely bogus. Andrew McCabe destroying the White House talking points on that as well, emphasizing that James Comey was very well liked in terms of how he was handling the investigation, and that investigation would continue. Any day now, are we going to hear that Donald Trump has lost confidence in Andrew McCabe, which is, of course, a predecessor to firing? Can you just imagine for a second the temper tantrum that must be happening at the White House. Did Donald Trump really think that firing James Comey was going to make the entire Trump-Russia investigation go away? I'm increasingly convinced that Trump's latest actions on this have, if anything, accelerated the entire Trump-Russia thing rather than stonewalling it, which is probably what Donald Trump sought to do. Meanwhile, Russians were hanging out in the Oval Office. Russian media covered it. American media not allowed in. I'll tell you more about that later. But everything falling apart on this for Donald Trump.